Good afternoon, my dear students. Welcome to another day of news analysis. We shall discuss today the newspaper dated January 28. I take it for granted that everyone has read the newspapers very well, and as a part of the program I shall give you a few questions also, probable questions for the upcoming examinations based on the newspaper. That will be a stimulus to you, and I am sure that you are watching our daily Gyan section of the mobile application, where questions of every day is uploaded. The previous episodes of this program is available in our YouTube channel. Please subscribe to our YouTube channel and all other social media platforms. Please give your likes to our Facebook page. Those will be a great motivation to my team and myself. Once the program ends, you all are requested to give your favorable comments to the program against the video in the YouTube, so that those will function as a great encouragement to all of us. So we shall begin. Government conspiracy led to violence, says farmers. We read in the newspapers that the farmers' protest went violent in many places in Delhi on January 26. But the farmers say that it was a clear-cut government conspiracy that led to violence. Cinema halls are allowed to open their seats for more people in the unlock process of COVID-19 lockdown restrictions continues. Government conspiracy led to violence, says farmers. Farm unions have blamed the violence which took place during the Republic Day tractor parades on a conspiracy hatched by the government, with one Punjab union, Kisan Mazdoor Sangh Committee, and Punjab actor Deepu Sidhu was previously been linked to the BJP. Listen, we know that the farmers' strike went violent in Delhi. The farmers' union leaders must have understood that they did not have the organizational capacity to manage a mammoth event of this kind, especially on a very important day for the country. So they must not have gone for a rally of this kind, aiming to participate the rally with around 1 lakh tractors. So things went simply beyond their control, and they should have anticipated that incidents of this kind would come, because it was just 2 days before January 26 that they themselves had captured a person who tried to infiltrate to the strikers' place, protesters' place, and made and tried to kill some of their leaders. That was their own theory. So considering all these things, they should have clearly desisted from attempting to get into Delhi and made a parade of this kind. So now this particular thing, this acrimonious situations have only helped them take the steam of the protests out. So read the article and closely follow what are going to be the governmental decisions and how the impasse be managed by the government. We have to wait. Cinemas allowed to seat more people. The Union Home Ministry issued an order extending the COVID-19 guidelines for surveillance, containment and caution till February 28. The guidelines permit cinema halls and theatres to operate at a higher capacity than the 50% seating strength allowed till now. So till now only 50% of the 50% occupancy was permitted. Now that is lifted, that curb is lifted. The states can decide, says the union government. Use of swimming pools has been permitted for all kinds of social, religious and cultural gatherings that were earlier restricted to a maximum of 50% of the whole capacity with a ceiling of 200 persons in closed spaces will now be allowed, subject to the standard operating procedures issued by the state governments. Okay. So, the unlock continues. A wrong turn. The Hindu criticizes the farmers' strike and the protests went violent in Delhi. The chaos and mindless violence unleashed on the national capital by a section of the protesting farmers on Republic Day were abhorrent. It is plausible that agents, provocators infiltrated the farmers' march, but that does not absolve the leaders of the responsibility. The leaders have the responsibility to control the followers. So, if it was the duty of the leaders to foresee the trouble, and the leaders should have foreseen that things would get into unmanageable levels. So, it has to be criticized. The leaders of the agitation should have taken note of the divergence in the rank and rejection by certain recalcitrant groups of the routes of the march. They had agreed with the Delhi police. They had agreed with the Delhi police that they would take certain routes, but they should have anticipated that some of the groups would even break the norms that they have agreed with the Delhi police. Anyway, it was an unfortunate incident. Now many people are even supporting the government also. The government or the steam of the strike has definitely lost midway. The first question is given to you. The theme of the World Economic Forum at Davos this year is, the World Economic Forum meet takes place in Davos every year. This year, what was the theme? Yes. Good afternoon, everybody. Give me the answer. The World Economic Forum at Davos, what is the theme? I need answers, please quickly give me. Living with COVID, second option is given. I need answers. COVID, what next? Says Devika. Manju, Anakha say 3. Anju says 2. Aishwarya says fourth option. The answer is the third option, the Great Reset. The Great Reset is the answer. The Great Reset, the third option is the answer. Second question is to you now. The following question is based on the new report by Oxfam. This Oxfam report we discussed in detail in the previous class, the previous episode. Which of the following is the incorrect information regarding the report? 1,000 richest people worldwide recovered their losses from the pandemic within 9 months, while the poorest will take a decade to reach the pre-pandemic times. Inequality in India has risen to levels last seen when it was colonized. The additional wealth acquired by India's 100 billionaires since March 2020, when the lockdown started, is enough to give every one of the 130 billion poorest rupees 94,045 rupees. An unskilled worker in India would take at least 3 years to earn what the country's richest person earned in 1 second. We learned I remember discussing that the richest man in India earned 90 crore rupees every hour during the times of pandemic. Okay, all except B and D. The answer is the first option, all the above are correct. I'm sorry. What is incorrect? That's a question. What's incorrect? In fact, the answer is none is incorrect. The answer is none is incorrect. So there is a mistake in the choices given. All the above are correct. None is incorrect. None is incorrect is the answer. 1,000 richest people worldwide recovered their losses from the pandemic within 9 months, while the poorest will take 1 decade to get back to pre-pandemic times. Inequality in India has risen to a level that could be seen only during the colonized times. The additional wealth acquired by India's 100 billionaires since March 2020, when the lockdown started, is enough to give every one of its 138 million population rupees 94,045 rupees. An unskilled worker in India would take at least 3 years to earn what the country's richest person earned in 1 second. Look at the glaring inequality that is prevailing in the world. So the tools of capitalism are continuously failing to address inequality. Mind you, equality in the society in itself is a social security. If inequality goes like this, there will be social unrest in the world, and if the social unrest takes place, no capital, no asset created will be safe. Troubling trends. Yes, inequality is widening across the world, and India is no exception, says the Hindu editorial. The world economy is slowly recovering from the devastation caused by COVID-19 pandemic, but that is only a partial solace. The recovery is uneven among countries and within countries, but the emerging universal truth is that economic inequality is rising sharply in all the countries. The new report by Oxfam has revealed that 1,000 richest people worldwide recovered their losses from pandemic within 9 months, as opposed to the world's poorest who might take a decade to limp back to their pre-pandemic standing. Look at the inequality. So the poorer people were the worst affected by the disease itself. The focus on growth had led politicians and policymakers to accept rising inequality as inevitable for decades. Inequality came to be seen as a benign outcome. Benign means very kind outcome of economic growth that led to reduction of absolute poverty. Inequality came to be seen as a benign outcome of the economic growth that led to reduction in absolute poverty. Of course, the so-called growth has helped nations reduce absolute poverty, but along with good things come bad things too. And the bad thing is that rich is becoming richer and poor is becoming poorer. The third question, the minimum support price of Copra has been increased by rupees dash to make it 10,335 per quintal. Please Give me the answer. What is the increase in the MSP of Copra? Yeah, my students know very well, I know it is the fourth option, rupees 375 increase. So the increase is rupees 375. Okay, everyone has given me the correct answer. Good, thank you. I am proceeding. Committee approves hike in MSP for Copra. Cabinet Committee on Economic Affairs approved an increase in MSP of Copra by 375 to 10,335 rupees a quintal for 2021, and this will benefit farmers in 12 coastal states, which are the major coconut producing states. Question number 4, who is the US Defense Secretary? Is it Lloyd Austin, Antony Blinken, Avril Haines, Janet Yellen, Kamala Harris? Let the answers come. Antony Blinken we discussed yesterday too. He is the Secretary of State, while Lloyd Austin is the Defense Secretary of United States of America. Lloyd Austin is the Defense Secretary of the United States of America. All are cabinet, Joseph Biden's cabinet members. Kamala Harris is the Vice President. Antony Blinken is the Secretary of State. Okay, so I am proceeding. Biden administration sees India's importance in the Indo-Pacific region. The new US administration sees India's importance in Indo-Pacific region and is keen to strengthen partnership, and this was conveyed in an introductory telephone call to Defense Minister Rajnath Singh from the new US Secretary of Defense General Lloyd Austin, according to an official source. So in the days to come we can expect more and more participation between two major democracies of the world, and we can expect that there will be more predictability from the part of US administration. So the steps that would be taken will be more constructive and predictable, so that the relation between these two democracies will get smoothened in the years to come. Most GOP senators oppose Trump trial. So everyone is looking whether the impeachment motion against President Trump will be continued. All but 5 of the US senators, 50 Republicans, unsuccessfully attempt to block the impeachment trial of former Donald Trump from progressing in a vote on the constitutionality of impeaching former president. While Mr. Trump will be tried because 55 of the 100 senators voted to proceed, Tuesday's vote cast doubt on whether Trump would be convicted, a move that would need 17 of the Senate's 50 Republicans to vote along with the Democratic colleagues, because it requires 2/3 majority in the Senate to convict. If Trump is impeached and convicted, then he will not be able to contest the 2024 presidential election in the United States of America. So the impeachment will become crucial to Donald Trump only as regards his possibility of coming back to the White House. Sensex falls 1.9% as FIIs I exit. Sensex continues to be unpredictable. We know that recently the Sensex marched past the 50,000 mark for the first time in its history, but after that the ups and downs continue, and benchmark stock indices fell sharply on Wednesday, extending their losses to a fourth straight session, as to foreign funds turned net sellers and domestic investors opted for caution ahead of the union budget due to be presented on February 1. So our stock exchange moves ups and downs, and it is less sensitive to real economic trends. Real economy and the stock exchanges, they are not in tandem, working in tandem, but there can be a clear-cut disconnect that can be seen between the real economy and the stock markets movement, Sensex. It shows that Sensex is not a true barometer of the real economic performance of this country. China slams apps ban, urges India to correct discriminatory measures. We know that India has banned nearly 200 or more than 200 Chinese mobile applications, or mobile applications with Chinese connections in India, like TikTok, etc. Now China asks India to stop the banning of Chinese apps in India. China called on India to immediately correct its discriminatory measures over the decision to extend ban on 59 Chinese apps. Okay, only 59 Chinese apps are banned. Indian government recently sent notices to Chinese firms informing them that the ban announced in June would continue. India had banned 59 Chinese applications, including TikTok, WeChat, UC browser, citing national security concerns in the wake of the standoff in Ladakh. Of course, in Ladakh, in the eastern border of India, Indian and Chinese army went face to face, and both the armies lost their jawans. India lost 20 jawans, for the first time since the Indo-China war that we lost our jawans in the eastern border. So that provoked India, and India decided to ban 59 Chinese mobile applications, including the popular one TikTok, WeChat, etc. But now China says that this sort of discriminatory measures must be stopped. High debt burden could hamper India's ability to provide stimulus. Many economists have been asking the government to provide stimulus package to people at the bottom of the pyramid. More and more money must be given to people at the bottom of the pyramid. Stimulus packages must be announced. Of course, all the three stimulus packages announced by the finance minister failed to address this concern. All were for improving the so-called supply side. All the so-called stimulus package announced by the government was to address concerns at the supply side, but what is required is a demand stimulus, and what is required is that people at the bottom of the pyramid should be given money. But the article says that the government does not have the wherewithal to provide stimulus, further stimulus, as debt burden has already risen to very, very high levels. Fifth question: who among the following has been appointed the first ever woman Treasury Secretary of United States of America? The first ever woman Treasury Secretary, meaning finance minister, our finance minister. It is equivalent of our finance minister. Is it Deb Haaland, Gina Raimondo, Marcia Fudge, Janet Yellen, or Jennifer Grenholm. What's the answer? Very important question. And that lady occupied a very important position, the most important position in the US Federal Reserves in yesteryears. The answer to this question, that lady occupied the highest position. She was the chairperson of the United States Federal Reserves a few years ago, and now she comes back as the Federal Secretary of US Treasury. Yes, many correct answers have already come. The answer is Janet Yellen. Janet Yellen, she is the former chairperson of the Federal Reserves. Federal Reserves is the Indian equivalent of the Reserve Bank of India. It is their Reserve Bank, the central bank of United States of America. Janet Yellen was the chairperson of the Central Bank of United States of America, the Federal Reserves. Janet Yellen becomes the first woman Treasury Secretary. The US State Senate has confirmed eminent economist Janet Yellen as the first woman Treasury Secretary of the United States. Yellen 74 was confirmed by the Senate in a broad bipartisan support of 80-15 votes on Monday. Both the Democratic and Republican parties have 50 members in the 100-seat Senate. Question number 6. The theme of this year's National Voters Day was Make Our Voters Empowered, Vigilant and Safe and Informed. The National Voters Day is observed on. So there are two questions within this question. What is the theme of this year's National Voters Day, and what is celebrated as National Voters Day? Is it January 28, 27, 26, 25 or 24? National Voters Day. Very good, it is correct. The National Voters Day is observed on January 25. The fourth option is correct. Good. Seventh question. As per the latest report by UNCTAD, the foreign direct investment FDI to India rose by 13% in 2020 to touch $billion. Yes, the answer is correct to most. It is 57 billion. It is 57 billion. What is UNCTAD? United Nations Conference on Trade and Development. What is UNCTAD? United Nations Conference on Trade and Development. That is UNCTAD. UNCTAD has said in its report that India's FDI, foreign direct investment, rose by 13% to 57 billion USD in 2020. Question number 8. Marcelo Rebelo de Sousa has been re-elected recently as the President of Spain, Colombia, Chile, Venezuela or Portugal. Time is up. Let the answers come quickly. Okay, correct. The answer is Portugal. Marcelo Rebelo de Sousa has been re-elected the President of Portugal. The answer is correct. So thank you very much, my dear students, for being a part of the program. I expect all of you to participate, all the students to participate, and if you have got any other occupation at the moment, then you can watch this program in our YouTube channel. Please ensure that you like the program. Please ensure that you give your appreciating comment against the program. There will be a great encouragement to us. At 3 o'clock, there will be another live session. Meet you. Have a good day.